Hi, everyone. So today we have Suma with us, who is a homeschooling mom in India, and she has a 4-year-old son. And we are going to know about her journey to unschool and homeschool her child. And yeah, let's get into it. Suma, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi everybody. Before my son, I was working I have done my MTech in VLSI design. So I was working as an assistant professor for an engineering college for a few years. And then I got into IT. And then when I was expecting my son, I quit and I got into a journey of exploring yoga. So I fell in love with yoga, and then currently I'm teaching yoga online since everything is online. Yeah, and enjoying my journey with my son.
Awesome. So how did you decide to unschool your son?
This all started with kind of reading parenting books because I was a first time mom and it started with parenting books. As I was researching, there was a book that I came up to which said how to make your child intelligent or learn to read fast or write fast. So when I got that book, and that's when I started reading, and that's when I realized that a child by from birth to around 5 to 6 years old are really genius. Like they're plain white slate, and they would take in whatever you write, no matter what, good, bad, whatever. So as I was reading that book, and I realized that that kids can really be molded at the very young age. That's when I started reading it, and that's when I realized what a school can do, you can do better as a parent because you know your child, and you know every move of your child, and you can feel them, and you can understand everything that they do. And there is certain amount of connectivity that you have with the child, so you would basically do something, when the child is ready to do something and when the child is not ready to do something, so you would plan accordingly. But that doesn't happen in a school. So when in a school environment, they just have this timetable and they follow it no matter your child is ready to take in or not, and they would not really do that. So when I started exploring, that's when I started learning. Basically, that book was about sight words, how you they write these words on a piece of paper and just show it to your child very quickly. It's called Donna method or something like that. That's when we started it, and from sight words, it went into phonics actually. So my journey started with how to teach English, and then from phonics, when there was a lot of discussion about homeschooling and that you can teach your child the way your child wants to learn. That's when homeschooling happened, and once I met all the homeschoolers, and we have a community here in Bangalore. We were meeting once in a month. So when I met homeschoolers and how their journey changed from homeschooling to unschooling, and how why did they change, and what were the resources that they read to understand. But then I realized there's this book called John Holt. He talks about unschooling and all that. So once I started reading his book, I completely fell in love with unschooling and the way the whole process works. And yeah, so that's when the journey of unschooling begins.
Interesting. It seems like unschooling is mostly for parents than for kids because, parents are so eager to put their children in amazing schools, pay like exorbitant amount of fees. So it seems like unschooling is mostly for parents, right? Because
Yes,
children are
yes.
already unschooled, I guess.
Yeah, children. My son has never gone to school, so I cannot just say I am unschooling him. Basically, I'm unschooling myself
Yeah.
through his journey to find out, like, what are the other chances that you could do. We were never given that chance because we cannot blame our parents also because that's how it was going.
Right.
And yeah, so but now we have the chance, and even we have the time to explore. So yeah, I would like to give my son complete responsibility of his life to see what he would want to do in future, rather than telling, okay, this is what you have to do. I guess once you give that independence, the child would come up with ideas to do something because he is responsible for his own life. But when we put them into something, and now if something doesn't work, we would blame our parents that it's your responsibility that I am right here like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the challenges that you faced when you decided to homeschool your son?
One of the challenge still is convincing the whole family, and and actually telling others that why is the son not going to school? He's 3 years old, he's 4 years old. And yeah, so that's one thing. But since I was supposed to put him like according to his age this year, I mean last year, but since COVID happened, no one really questioned me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be one challenge. But then one thing is, if you are strong in your beliefs and you know what you really want and that you know this is the right way, I don't think you really have to convince also the other person or the other people who are around, because you know what is right. So that is one thing. So, but for that, you will have to believe in that, like completely 100%, no matter what. There might be your neighbor who comes and tells, okay, my son is 4 years old and he started writing, and your son would never have even held a pencil. So, if you're okay with it, and if you're unschooling or homeschooling is not for a parent who cannot who wants their kids to be in competition, or who want to be first in everything, and just want to get into an job which pays them good amount of money. It's not for them. It's for people who let their child explore and who give them a good enough amount of time, who just explore their life and want to learn things when they are ready to learn. So yeah,
Right.
that is one more challenge thing, that the parent should be ready to accept the pressure of the society. And socializing, but I guess socializing now is a question for everyone, not just for homeschooling kids. But yeah, we had a community where we met once in a month, and we do have kids who come out to play in the evening to parks and stuff like that. So I don't think it's a big challenge as long as you let your kid explore other environments. So if you can still put them into some classes they like or something, take them out to a park. And like for an example, my son just doesn't speak to his age kids. He can speak to any stranger on the road, no matter what age they are. So he just can be friendly and strike a conversation just like that with anyone. Like he'll just say hi, what's your name? So it doesn't really matter. I guess he's more socialized than I was in my school
Wow.
time.
That's amazing. You answered such a great question for so many parents, because I think when we talk to parents about homeschooling, one of their major concerns is socializing, right? How will they
Yes.
make friends? How will they learn to socialize with other people? But honestly, like when we were also going to school, I don't think schools really taught us how to socialize. They just, we just by default made some friends and that's it, right? Like,
Yeah, and it's not like we made all our friends from school or college. Like we did make our friends outside school and college. Maybe we would have made more friends if we were not really 6 to 7 hours in the school,
yeah.
same place with the same people, like almost 10 years.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, that's one thing. See, I guess socializing, even in school, you just have those half an hour in your time where you actually talk to your friends and stuff like that. Even now, I've heard where they ask you to not speak even in the recess and don't stop making noise. So yeah, you can make friends anywhere. And one more thing is this, I've observed very like some people have come up with me where they say my kid is very introvert. He doesn't talk to people. How is this homeschooling going to affect him? So if a child is introvert, no matter if you even if you put in him in a classroom of 50 kids, he would still be introvert. He is not going to suddenly change himself and be happy and speak to everyone. That characteristic is going to be with him. He might make a friend or two, but that too, and that he might dread to be in a public place. But an extrovert kid, no matter, even if you put him with two or three kids, he would make friends with everyone. So a kid by nature, if he's like that, don't try to change it, because you cannot force something on them.
Such a good point that you make, and that's such a relevant thing that none of us, I think, understand. And like, I think our schools don't understand that as well, or our teachers don't understand, because now there are so many personality development courses that are opening up. And I always keep thinking, uh, how can you change, like, if you change a child's personality, how will they remain themselves? Right? That is,
Yeah.
and you're just making everyone the same.
One more thing is, like, you cannot really force a nature to someone. Even if you try to, they would actually repel, and it might generate that negative thoughts and negative influence on other people, or they would start hating themselves or hate their parents for making them do that. especially kids, and they don't really express their feelings. Even if it was like when my son was really young, I would like, why don't you speak up so that I understand what you're feeling? And now that he can speak everything, he's like, I don't want to tell you what's happening with me. So what do you do? That's the case with, he's teenager. That's the case with teenager. They don't want to open up to their parents and tell them what's happening. So you can't just, force them, and they will never tell, okay, what you're doing is something that I don't like, or they would just take it up. Don't force them into anything for that matter. Ask them, sit with them, talk to them. Even when I year old, I still talk to him and ask him, okay, is this okay with you? I mean, yeah, he does come up with strange answers sometimes, but it's always good to be open and, and, keep the discussion open and clear as to what you want, what you don't want.
Yeah, that's true. And then, what are some of the resources that you use for homeschooling?
Okay, so when I started, I told you my journey when he was 2 years old with homeschooling, I did search online to find out like the best curriculum a kindergarten has, put in all the CBSE, state board, and IGSE, and come up with a curriculum and stuff like that. And then we did look into some resources, and like he's just a toddler, so you don't really need a lot of resource. But yeah, so we did go through it, but that didn't really work for us. Like I told you, even schooling, most kids might like schooling. Some kids might like schooling. You don't have to pull those kids out of school because the whole world is doing homeschooling or unschooling. So it's just that let your kid decide if they want to come out or if they want to not do it. Like when my son is 6 years old or 7 years old, and if he comes up and tells I want to go to school, I can't keep him at home. I'm sure he would not like it. So there are kids who enjoy school or who like that structured environment to learn that. So let them in school. So that's one thing. And yeah, with that curriculum, we started researching and working on it. But my son really didn't show much interest since we actually follow thing that we don't force kids here to learn and do it. So yeah, like finding a curriculum is not difficult. It's just overwhelming that there's too much of things around. Yeah, so you'll have to look for what fits your family and your kid best and go for it. And so yeah, so with curriculum it didn't work. So what there's this all this letter of the day or letter of the week where they teach kids how to study each letter per week. But when I started that like that, my son was really reluctant. He never even wanted to learn letters. So what I did was he is very much interested in vehicles, like any vehicles and cars and construction vehicles. So I made up a chart for him where you have all these alphabets and each alphabet for a vehicle, like A for ambulance, B for a bus. And I just made a chart handwritten and I did pictures with it. So kids love pictures. Every time he's free, he would just go to the chart and look at all the pictures, first vehicles. And then he started asking, what are these? And I told him he loves reading books. We actually were reading books since he was like really young. So he knows that the books have a story and that you can read from it. So eventually he knew those letters and words make up a story. And then when he would come and ask me an alphabet, I would tell him an alphabet and I would tell him what is this sound. And that's how we learned the alphabet. So we never really worked on any particular alphabet. He would just go to the chat, look up the alphabet, come and tell me, okay. And then he started recognizing those alphabet in a book. So that's how our journey. It is never, like I'm telling you, we never asked him to sit down and write or even see that this is A and it makes A sound. We never told him that. So all his journey is like that. One more thing here as a parent you should see is I could relate. Like I got in the environment what I wanted him to study by making an environment or creating an environment around that. I knew he loved vehicles, so when I got the vehicles, he started showing interest in that. So he voluntarily went in and he voluntarily learned the alphabet. So I didn't do anything, nor did I sit with him and tell, okay, you have to learn this alphabet or anything like that. So there's one more book by Brave Learner. It's called A Brave Learner by Julia Boggett, where she tells anything that you can, if you want to learn, you can get in that environment to learn, even without opening a single book. So one more thing is an homeschooling parent should be actually a little open to exploring different methods of studying, not just with a book and a pen and a paper. And you should not expect that, okay, as soon as you tell, okay, this is the topic we are going to study, that a child should be ready to learn and explore. You can just, it's like a table of, dishes. So you keep it in front of your kid, and whichever or whatever the child chooses is what he's going to do. So you should be ready. You can't tell, okay, you have to eat bitter gourd today, or you have to eat cucumbers today. So you just give them the options and they will choose what they want to explore. And you as a parent should be there to support them through the process and tell them, okay, this is what you choose. Okay, let's see what else we can come up with it. Or you are just giving them ideas and they will explore it further. So yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to do a little bit of extra work if you really want to, say this is like unschooling in a certain manner. Like you say, okay, I am unschooling, but I am a little scared. Like, what if you have to trust the process, but what if for parents who are like, okay, I would want him to even, get some amount of knowledge or be in a line with all his other, counterparts. So you just what do I say? Put a variety of things in front of him and let the child chooses. So you're still unschooling, but in a little structured manner, that I would say.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point because I think as a parent, if we try to homeschool our kids, we would still try to, adhere to school curriculum or how school would do it, like, teach them alphabet, phonics. But I think here, I think again, like it comes back to unschooling our minds, like as parents, that,
Yes.
we are supposed to not force them to learn this. If they want to learn this, they will learn it. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good
And
point.
there's one more thing is like, yeah, I didn't really have to introduce them alphabet at 3 or 4 years old, but I thought maybe I can try. Maybe because there are unschooling kids, parents who really don't even teach them alphabet. They would really come up with their own. Like if they're reading a book or if a child is reading a book, they would really, recognize and they would come up to the parent and want to ask, okay, I want to learn alphabet. I just maybe I was also still a little anxious because unschooling was still new to me and I was not sure. So that's when I came up with that idea. But again, even though I came up with that idea, it was his choice. He made a choice to learn it or not learn it. But yeah, pure unschooling where parents really don't do much. But I still feel if you do that, like I did go through that phase, where I as a parent didn't do anything. Like I just sat and let him explore, let him play, let him do. But then it's like I thought I became irresponsible a little bit, and yeah, so I was not able to account for myself. Like I felt really, okay, I think maybe I am denying him or something. So that's when I read more, and that's when I realized it's not unschooling is not that you just let your kid be, but then you give them the environment. Now choosing the environment or not is their wish. And when they choose, like I told you, the chat was there for almost a month. He never even looked at it. Like as time went and as you just let them be. You can't tell, okay, day one I'm going to do that and he's going to choose it. It doesn't work like that. So you do your work and let them come to you and explore on their way. It's like they say for money. If you keep running behind the money will run away from you. So
Right.
if you keep running behind the child, telling learn, 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 he'll run away from you. So you just let it be and you just make as because a child feels empowered when he chooses to learn. We always tell because we think they're too young and we should make decisions for them, but it's actually when you let them make a decision that they are completely responsible for their decision. So when you make them empowered, they feel, okay, I have chosen this, so I will give him my effort to learn this. So it should always be like that, not just with youngster, even with teenagers or something. When they make a decision, they come up and tell, okay, this is my mistake, let me fix it or let me find the solution. But if you just put it on them and they'll just come tell, okay, your responsibility, you do whatever you want to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So, are you planning to homeschool your son for like, I mean, like when he grows older, so you would have to, ask him to give some exams. I don't know, there's like NIOS in India.
NIS, yes.
Yeah, so are you going to like prepare him for that or help him learn that?
Um, I guess it all depends on him and what
Right.
he chooses to be.
Mhm.
So there are many homeschoolers who choose to give NIS for the reason that the career path that they've chosen might need a 10th or a 12th. Like if you want to get into Air Force or police or any regular thing. There are few who just don't want to give any exam. They just want to explore and do their thing. So it again depends on the child. It's just that you are giving them an option to choose. So even if they choose to write 10th, they would still be like, okay, I have chosen this, I will study for it. And one more thing is, if the only thing that you have to make sure throughout the journey is no, let them learn, like let them learn on their own. So once they know how to learn, it's not going to be difficult to learn any subject as such. The whole process of learning is what is important. Like, you, for us, it was just this one lesson from a textbook, learn it. But when you let them explore, and if it's of their interest, they would not only explore a textbook, they would go to a wide variety. And keeping an interest on a particular subject and exploring it widely is something we are really unaware of. First of all, we can't really concentrate on a subject for a longer time. And to explore it, if it is not an exam, we would never do it. Yeah, but
That's
here
true.
a child is independent to choose and he's independent to learn. So once he knows how to learn, the process of learning to give any exam would not be really difficult. I think he would feel, okay, why is this subject not really in depth? But yeah, but I know giving an exam would not really be difficult for an
Yeah.
homeschooler.
That's a good point. I think also like you said, we have been brought up to like when we were children, we were everyone was tell us would tell us, okay, learn this, but they never taught us why do we have to learn this, or how do we start from scratch? Why are we even doing this? Like nothing of that sort. Like I think what is missing from today's education system is sort of like curiosity building for kids, to make them more curious about things and then help them to explore that curiosity. So yeah, I think that is a really good point. And one more last question that I have is before we end this is, do you have any message for parents who are listening?
For any parent who really want to unschool or homeschool their children, I think first you will have to prepare yourself to the whole unschooling and homeschooling because your child is already in that zone. So you have to come to the zone and you have to be able to, you should have that amount of, what do I say, strength and courage to face the whole world who is going to come and ask you, like, why is he not going to school? And even when you get those questions, you should not change, okay, am I doing right or am I right? Those thoughts might come, but then you should have that, you should be completely indulge, or you should do your research before you actually get into it. Actually, and find a reason as to why you're doing it. So because why is very important, not because everyone is doing this, and it would be again like going to school. So find your strong reason as to why you're doing it. And once you get that answer for your question, why you're doing it, and then you have to completely believe that the process is going to work. So test that process. If you think it is going to work, and if you have that strength and courage and time, and if you could put in that effort to do it, then you should go ahead and do it. It's completely, absolutely amazing journey, not just for your kids, even for you. Like you would learn so many things with them. So if you completely believe in that whole journey, only then you should go in. Not because of COVID or not because of your neighbor is doing it, not because the whole world thinks homeschooling is best. But I think you as a family and you as when you see a child and a family and you think, okay, homeschooling is what is going to help us and is the best decision for my kid, and then you should go in completely. It's like you're just going in it with you don't know the outcome because once you finish your school, you would know at least you have a degree, but then again you don't know if you will get a job. Again, that's a whole process. It's just like that. It's just taking risk and completely going with your heart and mind and soul into it and seeing what will happen, and trusting your child is one of the most important thing in the journey.
Wow, that's a really great message. Thank you so much, Suma, for joining us today and talking to us about homeschooling, about your journey, and the creative ways that you help your son learn things. That it was really interesting for us. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.